It's a backup quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss getting yet another start today versus Washington State. They have to be thrilled with the depth that they have at quarterback in replacement of Jackson Dart. And so far, Trinidad Chambliss, he's been up to the challenge. Coming from Ferris State, he's proven to be a true dual threat. He's hurt teams with his legs. He's been excellent in the passing game. And the coaches say that the way he throws the football, it's reminiscent of Jackson Dart. Layers the ball in there nicely, really good with anticipation throws. He's been incredibly efficient so far.
And he'll get the football first here in just a moment. Now, what about the guy that started the season in Austin Simmons? For more on that, we go down to the field and Alyssa.
Yeah, Taylor, we're told that Austin Simmons is getting closer to 100%, but isn't quite there yet. I watched him during warm-ups, taking reps with the twos. He looked good, was moving smoothly, did not look to be very uncomfortable out there. Now, Stinch mentioned it. Trinidad Chambliss will get the start, but when Lane Kiffin talked to us about it, the word he used was Trinidad will go first. We said, does that mean that there's a plan for Austin Simmons to go second? He said, well, Austin Simmons is second on the depth chart, so we will see. We asked him, when Austin Simmons is back to 100%, what will your plan at quarterback be? He said, I'm not worried about what I don't need to know right now. Today, Trinidad Chambliss is the starting quarterback.
Sounds like he is going to be where his feet are right now, Alyssa, and not think about next week in Athens just yet. We mentioned the first ever meeting between Washington State and Ole Miss. Some fans from the Palouse up in Pullman, Washington, came over 2,100 miles to get here. And they had to get through some airports, Matthew. They had to go to, say, Seattle, then to Dallas, land in Memphis, drive to Oxford. It was a trek to get here to Oxford. Wazoo hasn't played an SEC team in over a decade. Jimmy Rogers, the first-year coach, came over from South Dakota State and brought a lot of jackrabbits with him.
Yeah, when you think about the guys that came with him, kind of seeded this program. There's a lot of familiarity. South Dakota State had a ton of success with Rogers. Short time, obviously, as the head coach. They're trying to replicate that at Pullman.
Ryan Harris kicks it over the head of Isaiah Hartrup, and Ole Miss comes out on offense at the 25-yard line. We told you about Ole Miss getting the football first, and Matt just told you about Trinidad Chambliss. Just an extraordinary start. The fact that no SEC quarterback has done that at least since 1994 over a 3-game period, that's rarefied air.
You think about that, since they've been keeping track of that stat, you and I were speculating, I bet there's a quarterback here at Ole Miss that maybe could have accomplished similar feats as a passer and a runner. Got his name on a couple of buildings here.
I'm sure old Archie is tuned in today. Chambliss on the first play, hands it off. Keywan Lacey gets to the outside. That's a first down run for the Rebels. Up to the 39-yard line. Tucker Large tackles him after 14 yards. Lacey coming over from Mizzou. He was the third-string tailback there last year as a freshman, first string in Oxford. Ole Miss goes fast. It's Lacey trying the other side. And he's in the secondary again near another first down. Second quickest tempo, Matt, in the SEC behind only Tennessee.
And he coming over, obviously a guy that can be incredibly explosive. They were familiar with Lacey as a recruit before he started his career at Mizzou last year.
They run a play every 22 seconds. Chambliss will throw for the first time, and that's deflected by a Wazoo defender, Anthony Polano. Great tackler, number 0 for the Cougs, got his hands on it. Third down, excuse me.
Polano underneath that throw, deflected off of his hands. First passing attempt of the game for Ole Miss.
On 3rd and 2, back to the ground. Easy first down run for Lacey, the sophomore from Dallas. Second in the SEC with 89 yards per game, already 8 touchdowns on the year.
We were talking with Charlie Weiss Jr. yesterday. This run game, they either try to get defenses on their heels with motion or with tempo. So far, it's been with the pace of the offense.
Ole Miss already to midfield. Chambliss throws near side. That's Stribling. Dejon with his first catch. He's a former Washington State player, had over 1,000 yards receiving there and at Oklahoma State before he came to his 3rd college. And the Rebels, Washington State, very late with substitutions, all sorts of problems here, and the officials step in. Give them time to substitute. Logan Diggs is in the backfield next to Chambliss. And Chambliss throws, and it's a completed ball inside the 35, down near the 30. And that is Caden Lee, who gets 13 more. Lee, the veteran wide receiver, with his 13th catch of the year. Chambliss, another pitch and catch with Stribling. Dejan just short of the 10-yard line. First down, Ole Miss.
And that was an excellent pickup by Ole Miss. That time, Washington State trying to bring pressure, to do something to disrupt the rhythm of this offense. Not only fast-paced, but piling up plays early in this opening drive. 19
yards for Stribling there to get them down to the 11. Chambliss in an empty backfield design run. And Trinidad inside the 8, near the 7. Tackled by Taase. Chambliss, has over 260 rushing yards on the season. Trinidad, the transfer from Ferris State. Here's a handoff inside the 5, down to the 4. It'll be 3rd and goal for there as Diggs on the carry.
You can see a little bit more deliberate pacing now that you get down here in the red zone. Substitution now for Ole Miss allows Washington State to try to get some fresh bodies. Defensive coordinator Jesse Bobbitt said, "I got to be smart about how we keep our guys out on the field so that they don't get gassed early." It's hot here today.
11th play of the drive. Fake the toss. Chambliss can't get the outside. 4th down. Good pursuit there by Polano to force this 4th down, and Ole Miss's offense will stay on the field. They're a perfect 4 for 4 on this down this year.
Excellent job by Washington State here in the low red zone to force this 4th down attempt. Goal to go. No way to get a first down here. Ole Miss got to find a way to punch it in. That time they were trying to run that quarterback counter to get Chambliss downhill.
Trinidad Chambliss in shotgun with Lacey to his right. And a whistle.
Lane Kiffin ran all the way down to about the 5-yard line to get that timeout. Just to make sure he gets this play right. It wouldn't be one heck of a start for Washington State. They get a stop on 4th down.
We'll see what Lane Kiffin draws up on this 4th down in just a moment. Fourth and 3 for Ole Miss at the Washington State 4. Charlie Weiss is in the box. Lane Kiffin on the field. What do they like here?
Well, we've seen they've been able to move the football in both the passing game and the ground game, but Chambliss's legs could figure right here, and they can get a first down to get it to the 1.
Chambliss stands there, throws, incomplete. Turnover on downs. Just the 3rd empty red zone trip for Ole Miss in 31 attempts this year. The Cougs defense gets a stop on its first ever trip to Oxford.
They're trying to get it to Dejan Stribling on the back of the end zone, and what you do is you throw it towards the crossbar. He's just behind it. You want to make sure that your receiver has a chance to go up and get it. Stribling is 6'2". Had a chance to climb the ladder, but that ball was a little bit behind him. Just a little bit surprised. It was a lighter box that maybe they didn't try to get it downhill, pick up that first down. A huge stop for the Cougar defense to start this football game, and the first time all year Ole Miss does not convert on 4th.
Zevi Ekal stands in his own end zone and hands it to Angel Johnson, and Johnson gets a couple of yards up near the 8-yard line. Not Cam Ward, not John Mateer, but Zevi Ekals. They have used Jackson Potter and Julian Duggar back there this season as well. Ekals started the bowl game last year. He was a 3-year starter at Bryant University. Threw 75 touchdown passes there. They like Ekals because he's more of a runner when there's trouble. 2nd and 7. Throws at the line of scrimmage. Ball caught, and out near the 8 is Jeremiah Noga. And he got almost nothing there. It'll be 3rd down for the Cougs.
Noga, a guy that they rely on a lot in the passing attack, and you mentioned Eckhouse and his legs. That could figure prominently in this football game. A guy that might have to create after the snap to make his offense right, especially with the pressure that Ole Miss will place on him from a scoring standpoint.
3rd and 5 for Wazoo. They have to get to the 14 to move the chains. Eckhouse, another line of scrimmage ball. Breaking tackles, and near the first down is Tony Freeman. Freeman was 3-4 yards away from the marker. He was initially hit. Cam Franklin on the tackle. It is 4th down, short of the line to gain, and here comes Washington State's punt team.
Field position battle, and you go back to the 4th down try. We were talking to Lane Kiffin about that yesterday. He said part of it is the reason why you can go for it on 4th downs when you're in that low red zone is that if you leave the ball, meaning you concede that possession, you've still got a lot of field to defend, and the Ole Miss Rebel defense comes out and does its job.
Ryan Harris punts from his own end zone. Harrison Wallace III is back. Delay of game called on Washington State, so from 4th and a foot to 4th and 5.5. And that'll back up the Cougs even further into the end zone.
You see Ole Miss, because of that, you see a full substitution. I don't know if they're changing their punt return strategy right here, but they substituted just about all of those members on the return unit.
Good punt. Wallace at the 46-yard line calls for the fair catch. 46-yard punt. Ole Miss back on offense when we come back.
SEC football is presented by Allstate. You're in good hands.
98th homecoming. Just one of the greatest places in the world to spend a Saturday off of the square in DeVault Hemingway. Homecoming court out and about today. It's great to go through the Grove today, see everyone tailgating, and that'll continue throughout the entirety of the day. And look at what they've done at home here. 17-1 since the start of 2023. They've won 18 straight non-conference games under Lane Kiffin in the regular season, and they've won the last 7 by 30+.
Piling up points and yards during that stretch.
Weren't able to score the first time Chambliss touched the football. He throws it to Lacey out of the backfield. Kiwan makes people miss. Gets into Wazoo territory for another first down.
You see, get the ball out in space, and Lacey was talking about it yesterday. Look, I can impact the passing game as well as a receiver. Good job getting downhill.
Chambliss steps up out of traffic. Look at that. Instead of a sack, he slips inside the 38 for 4 yards.
Natural surface field down here. You could see that time Chambliss was trying to cut it up, pick up more yards. Just lost his footing.
Could see Austin Simmons at some point today, as Alyssa was saying in the open. Here's a sweep that goes to Winston Watkins. Watkins gets the corner, and that's another Ole Miss first down.
That's an element of this offense. There's so much that forces you to defend sideline to sideline. They'll run a lot of these rocket or jet sweep motions. And this year, Charlie Weiss Jr. said, we're really good at it. We've actually got some teeth to that this year.
Fake to Lacey, line of scrimmage ball to Watkins, and the true freshman from Fort Myers, Florida, doesn't get much. Kind of lost a foot or so.
Good job by Colby Humphrey that time, fighting his way through the block of Harrison Wallace III to make that play.
Chambliss, the senior from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who came over from Ferris State, has been electric at quarterback in 3.5 games. And he'll throw here on second down to the end zone, overshooting his intended target. Harrison Wallace covered up by Kenny Worthy.
effectively, really almost like a throwaway. I'm not even sure that he was seeking to complete that football. He wanted to work to the left side of the formation. Washington State with an opportunity here. Get off the field, perhaps.
3rd and long now for Chambliss, and Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin will slow down the offense here. Chambliss, plenty of time. Behind his intended target who slipped on the play. Deuce Alexander was open, 4th down.
I'll tell you, Taylor, it's, we talked about Trinidad Chambliss, and one of the things that they'd mentioned, both sides, both coaches, was his accuracy. Now we've seen twice now, see that well behind Alexander, who was trying to put on the brakes. Reminiscent of what we saw, he tried to hit DeJon Stribling in the back of the end zone on the previous possession. Ball was a little bit behind as well.
Lucas Carnero, 47-yard attempt, one of the best kickers in the game. And Carnero, no good. Ole Miss gets inside Wazoo's 5 on the first drive, inside the 30 on the second, and doesn't score either trip. 6:31 to go, first quarter. No score in the first ever meeting between Ole Miss and Washington State. You're watching SEC football in Oxford, Mississippi. Washington State playing an SEC opponent for the first time in 12 years. Had to go over 2,100 miles to get here. They didn't drive. Angel Johnson gets the outside into the Ole Miss bench. He gets 6 yards. They do have a charter. If you did drive, it would take 1 day and 7 hours to get here. And as long as this trip is for Wazoo, they're going more than 2,500 miles next week to Charlottesville.
Yeah, this was just to get loose, just warming up to come down here to Oxford. It's not an easy place to get to. Plenty of them here, though. Tons of Cougars in Oxford this weekend.
Yeah, Old Crimson is represented in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium right now. There's big contingency up in the stands. On a 2nd and 3, it'll be Johnson again. He runs straight forward. He gets a first down. And in fact, Alyssa, we were in the square last night, one of the more beautiful places to spend a Friday night, and Washington State fans took over.
They were everywhere, and I was told by an Oxford resident who wanted to go to the library last night to listen to some music that they were all in the library watching the Seattle Mariners game until the very end, which if you paid attention to that was a wild ride. And I'm told that these two fan bases together may be one of the most dangerous combinations in college football.
Cougs and Rebs get along, huh? Mariners won that in 15 innings last night, so I know a lot of Washington State fans were happy with that. Here's another line of scrimmage ball. Eckhouse throws it to Freeman. Tony Freeman from Richmond, California, gets a couple of yards. I think Washington State fans might look at property in Oxford after the couple of days they've had here.
Yeah, some of them might not leave, right? Just make the trip from here to head on over to watch them take on UVA. Charlottesville's a lot closer, I think, from Oxford, Mississippi than it is from Pullman.
Kirby Voorhees in the backfield for Washington State here on a 2nd and 10. Eckhouse running while throwing, and he gets it to Joshua Meredith. And Meredith gets past midfield, picking up 8. It'll be 3rd and short.
You can see what the Cougar offense is trying to do, just kind of move that line of scrimmage. A lot of these horizontal passes, it's really like run extensions, allow your wide receivers to try to block. Clearly, like their matchups on the outside, from a run standpoint, see if you can't pick up some easy yards in space. Now you got to play in a phone booth on 3rd and short. And given how aggressive Ole Miss is offensively, it's not 4-down territory, but it might be a 4-down situation.
Voorhees, first down, Wazoo.
How about that? That's a physical downhill run by Voorhees. Contact right at the line of scrimmage. He just powers his way through it. Great job at the point of attack. Runs through the would-be tackle. able to get that conversion on third down to extend the drive. Here early, the Cougar defense weathering the storm of that first drive.
Voorhees is one of 15 South Dakota State Jackrabbit transfers. Of course, their head coach, Jimmy Rogers, won a national championship coaching South Dakota State 2 years ago and emptied South Dakota with him coming over here. This is Voorhees again, and Kirby doesn't get much. But South Dakota State almost never had someone transfer out of their program for decades. And as soon as Jimmy got the job, he took all of his best players and said, let's go finish your career in Washington State.
The concern was when he did that is that, look, that's quite a leap up. You do see some, and obviously South Dakota State play power at the FCS level. Different ball game now, but some especially have made the adjustment quite well, including Voorhees.
Voorhees is out. Angel Johnson also transferred in from South Dakota State. He's in the backfield next to Eckhouse now. Zevi throws over the top, caught inside the 30. That's Leon Neal. Caught it over Sage Ryan. Perfect ball.
Beautiful pass from Eckhouse. Looked out, had the matchup that he liked. 3 defenders over his 3 wide receivers. Sage Ryan never really got his head around, never located that football. Excellent job along the boundary. An impressive drive by the Cougar offense.
Impressive catch for a former walk-on, 18 yards and down near the Rebel 26. Eckhouse throws underneath, incomplete. Voorhees was covered up anyway, second down.
The Rebel defense, the challenge here, of course, you're facing this kind of a mobile quarterback in Eckhouse, but also a guy that what the Cougar coaches kept talking about was how he elevated the play of everyone around him. The skill set in and of himself is good. They didn't diminish that, but really it was his impact on everyone else's play. Right now you're seeing in this offensive possession, Cougar offense fighting their way into a scoring opportunity.
Julian Duggar is in the backfield with Eckhouse. Eckhouse turns, throws to the end zone, touchdown! Landon Wright uncovered. The freshman from Fresno, California was wide open for a 26-yard touchdown.
How about that? Washington State in this game, take on that first drive, find a way to get a 4th down stop, get the ball back for your offense twice now. And then the offense is finally able to get going. A couple of tone setter runs. Angel Johnson was able to get downhill a couple of times. The 2 deep balls, really the uncontested explosive plays. What defensive coordinator Pete Golding talked about with this defense that they had to eliminate.
Jack Stevens, extra point, good. How about Old Crimson? Under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, and a wide open touchdown from Eckhouse to Wright.
And Ricky Fletcher, I don't know if he got confused or slipped at one point, but completely wide open. And this is what Pete Golding was talking about. As you see 2 Rebels converging, almost getting to Eckhouse before he delivers the strike. You see Fletcher, number 9 for Ole Miss, barely in the picture as they can make that completion to Landon Wright. What a fantastic offensive drive by the Cougars.
Might want to shake the cobwebs loose a little bit if you're the Rebels here.
Starting to wonder, right? You think about the opponent next week. You've got to go on the road versus the University of Georgia, coming out of a bye week, and you wonder if it's a slow start or if, in fact, Washington State is starting to build on their confidence after that big win that they were able to get last time out versus Colorado State.
Harris kicked it for a touchback last time. This one is a fieldable ball that bounces past to the defender and will go in the end zone to the 25-yard line. SEC Network football lineup continues today at 4:15 Eastern with number 12 Tennessee hosting Bobby Petrino and Arkansas at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. And we cap the night with number 11 LSU hosting South Carolina in Death Valley at 7:45. Both are available on the all-new ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Who you give a better chance, Razorbacks on the road or Gamecocks in Death Valley?
Oh, man, I'd probably go with the Gamecocks. I think the Razorbacks, ton of disruption with Bobby Petrino taking over, albeit out of a bye week.
Lacey doesn't get much there on first down, and Washington State's got the momentum right now. Sullivan Schlemgen on the tackle.
Schlemgen, German native, able to come up and make that stop. It was the running game that got Ole Miss going early last time. A couple of errant throws from Trinidad Chambliss.
On 2nd and 10, here's pressure that's picked up. Downfield shot, and it's incomplete again. Over the head of Stribling. Chambliss off target here in the first quarter.
It's the best way to capture it. And just about, not just on some crossing routes, deep throws. You see this here, that ball far too upfield, laid out in front of Stribling, and instead that ball almost behind him. It made him kind of turn it more vertically back into the coverage. Chambliss has just not been on target here early as a passer.
3rd and 9 for Chambliss here at the end of the first quarter. Pressured on the run, caught on the sideline, and it's a first down ball. Deuce Alexander right in front of the Washington State coaches.
Ton of green grass. Maybe he could have even run with this football if he was able to run through it. You see that? Great job by Alexander, tap dancing along the boundary.
Wake Forest transfer on the catch here. Here's the handoff that goes to Alexander, and Deuce doesn't get much. We mentioned Deuce coming over from Wake Forest, Matt. Originally, this game was supposed to be against Wake Forest. Wake Forest canceled the back end of that home-and-home meeting, and Ole Miss had to find a new opponent, and it's Washington State.
Yeah, Washington State was able to take that one up. Wake Forest got beat down so badly by Ole Miss last year, they were willing to just pay the money to not have to make this trip.
2nd and 10. Chambliss throws downfield again into double coverage, and it's intercepted. It's Tucker Large who picked it off. There is a flag down on the play, and Lane Kiffin thinks it's against Washington State.
This does the side judge.
Defense number 5.
He's on the defense of Harrison Wallace, the 3rd. And a good thing, because as you mentioned, yet another poorly thrown football from Trinidad Chambliss. You see, able to make a play on that ball. It was well picked up. They ran play action, able to keep the pocket clean. And the penalties able to bail out Ole Miss quarterback here who has struggled so far in the passing game.
Rebs start this one from their own 46. Lacey gets into Washington State territory. He was behind 2 graduate players at Mizzou last year as a true freshman and didn't see a lot of game action, just 6 games. But he has been the horse for Ole Miss here in season number 2. How about the start for Washington State in their first ever trip to Oxford? They lead number 4 Ole Miss 7-0. PB here, a scoreless first quarter for Ole Miss. That's only the 4th time in the last 4 years that's happened, and because of it, Austin Simmons is warming up on the sideline. Trinidad Chambliss still in the game. He's 7 of 12 now with that completion to Deuce Alexander, but Stinch, he's been off target so far in this game.
Yeah, he struggled, and it's not just on deep balls. You see Austin Simmons there. We've asked, it's been a hot topic. How ready is he? He's been warming up extensively as Chambliss has not had a strong start to this game so far.
Was a first down throw there, and start this play at the Wazoo 39. And that's another good ball. This one to Stribling, gets it out of bounds inside the 30, Alyssa.
You mentioned the question being how healthy is Austin Simmons. Well, like I said earlier, I was watching him during warm-ups. He looked to be moving pretty well. And as you said, warming up over here on the sidelines, the explosiveness is definitely there.
Chambliss is heating up here and finds Stribling again. Stribling does not get much. Remember, Simmons injured his leg against Kentucky towards the end of that game, and Chambliss came in to finish the game. Then the following week, he came in briefly against Arkansas and aggravated the injury. But as Alyssa is saying, looks ready to roll over there on the sideline right now. 2nd and 9. Bad snap. Chambliss. This is backyard ball right here. And it's a catch. It's a first down to Caden Lee.
Well, it certainly didn't start off well. A mishandled snap by Chambliss. You had that rocket motion going through the backfield. You see just that ball was just to the left. Chambliss did a good job just getting his hand on it.
Just short of a first down, I should say. It's a 3rd down. Now it's a first down. There are flags down as Lacey is still running down to the 5-yard line as they can't get him on the ground.
Holding. Offense. Number 61. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Diego Pounds, the left tackle.
Correction. 3rd down.
Yeah.
Timeout for the Washington State injury.
Graham Stevenson is the injured Washington State player down at the 18-yard line.
The holding penalty on Big Diego Pounds. Transfer from North Carolina as Stevenson is attended to.
5th-year senior from Arlington, Texas, tended to.
Please
We're back
reset
in
the
just a
play
moment.
clock to 40 seconds.
Welcome back to SEC Network College Football, presented by Allstate. Washington State 7, Ole Miss nothing. The Rebels have been inside Wazoo's 30-yard line all 3 times they possessed the football. They have no points. 3rd and 11 here.
Just earned that first down were it not for the holding penalty to set them down back here.
Chambliss in trouble and sacked back at the 36, and the ball's out.
Ruling on the field as the runner was down. 4th down.
Isaac Terrell on the sack.
Able to get that twisting stunt. Terrell able to get all the way out there. Chambliss was trying to buy time. That's just the 5th sack all year for the Cougar defense.
Isaac Terrell with one of the great.
Ruling on the field as the runner was down. That play is under further review.
Well, we'll see if Terrell got the football. Terrell has one of the best nicknames in college football. Isaac Terrell, his nickname is Bobby because he plays like Bobby Boucher in The Waterboy.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully he's hydrated because this is a hot afternoon. You got to think the boys from Washington State, who, by the way, have been clearly very acclimated. Take a look at this. See if that ball is moving around.
It is certainly moving before his torso is on the ground. The question is, were his knees down? It sure looks like it, Matt.
The Chambliss had that ball kind of extended as Terrell arrived. It was not tucked away. He clearly was not intending to be a runner at that point in time. He did not have great ball security. I think that ball might have been moving before he was able, before he would have been established as down. Hard to tell.
You see it goes from his right arm to his left, and when he tries to possess it, I don't know that he ever does.
Let me see if I can sit crisscross applesauce and see this monitor down here.
After After further review, the quarterback did not have possession of the ball going to the ground. Therefore, it's a fumble recovered by the defense. 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line. Ball be placed in the middle of the field.
Well, you said it. Just the 5th sack that the Ole Miss offensive line has given up this year. 3rd lost fumble for the Rebels of the season.
And Jesse Bobbitt, defensive coordinator for Washington State's got to be absolutely thrilled with the way his team has played. You know, the resilience they demonstrate on that opening drive, and you establish a relatively short possession. They played a lot of snaps already. We've talked about the travel and the heat today. None of that so far has shown up as a factor to the detriment of the Cougars, especially defensively. The Ole Miss Rebel offense out of sorts, and now forfeiting a possession.
Eckhouse on a design quarterback run. 1st down into Ole Miss territory.
A great job blocking out front. Leo Pulalasi getting Eckhouse downhill. This was the element that they were talking about. Boy, you see Eckhouse congratulating the defender. They talk about him. This kid's got a ton of confidence, a ton of moxie, and his team is playing off of him.
Leo Pulalasi with a great block there. He was in the game at tailback. It's a 23-yard pickup for Eckhouse. Now Voorhees is back behind Eckhouse, and Kirby goes straight ahead and gets a couple of yards inside the Ole Miss 40. Cam Franklin on the tackle.
Taylor, we were talking to the Ole Miss coaches yesterday, having visited with Washington State earlier in the week. And they said, you know, the concern is that from the tests that they've faced so far outside of LSU and coming out of that bye week, you know, where this team was, they did their best, obviously, to keep them refocused. But so far, an underwhelming performance by Ole Miss and Washington State. Impressive.
On 2nd and 8, Voorhees again. And he dives forward near the 36. It'll be 3rd and about 5 for Washington State from there. It's a good point, Matt. Arkansas, when Sam Pittman was still coaching the team, had a real chance to beat Ole Miss last month. And, of course, the Rebels whipped Tulane, got past LSU, and in the top 5 in the country. But after a bye week, they're on the ropes here in the first half against Wazoo.
A big 3rd down, empty backfield. Keep in mind, Eckhouse, a threat as a runner.
Eckhouse throws, 1st down. No, dropped. Dropped at the 30-yard line. Tony Freeman had a 1st down.
Tony Freeman was a name the coaches mentioned. Washington State said he's going to have to figure big for us in this game. Would have been a 1st down. Eckhouse did a good job of buying time, and Freeman just couldn't come up with that catch. Jalen Braxton breaking in on that play to break it up late.
Well, Jack Stevens made a 49-yarder earlier this year. This is 53, almost 54-yard attempt to give Wazoo a 10-point advantage. On its way, short. And the Rebel defense makes a stand to get its offense the ball back. Who's coming at it? Quarterback for Lane Kiffin. We'll find out next. Augusta, South Carolina's Jack Stevens misses the field goal, and now Ole Miss back on offense. Trinidad Chambliss, a rough start in the game.
He's just been off target. A guy that came into this game known for his accuracy, really steady hand, you know, stepping in relief for Austin Simmons. Going to get another start here today. It's just been rough, especially on the downfield passing. You know, they've tried to get the horizontal passing game going, run extension type plays. Of course, the last possession, Chambliss, as he was trying to extend the play, ended up fumbling the football away. Good job by the Ole Miss Rebel defense getting the ball back for the offense. But the Rebs, outside of their first drive, have been out of sorts offensively.
Chambliss fakes the sweep, keeps it himself, shows off that speed and gets a few yards as Kenny Worthy III makes the tackle. Make no mistake, Chambliss has been terrific since Simmons was injured. He leads the SEC in yards per completion. There's 3 games over 50 yards rushing and over 300 yards passing. And he's taking off again. And he gets the edge near a first down. He marked about a yard shy. It'd be 3rd and 1 from there. You always wonder how a kid that was at a school like Ferris State, which did win the national championship in Division II last year, is going to be able to make the move to power football. This is Chambliss's first adversity he's faced. He hands to Lacey, and that's an easy first down run for Kiwan, who's still upright inside the 45.
When you think about the last 3rd and short run, Lacey looked like he lost that football at the end. Matthew Durrance might have gotten that ball out. Obviously, Ole Miss able to get back on it. Lacey running the football well. If it weren't for that holding penalty on the previous drive for Ole Miss, would have gotten a conversion on a 3rd and short.
Chambliss throws near side, caught by Stribling, and takes defenders with him inside the Washington State 35 for 9 more. Matt, all 4 times Ole Miss has had the football, they've been inside Washington State's 35, still without any points.
Think about the missed field goal and, of course, the 4th down attempt on the opening drive.
Lacey, that's a first down. He's running hard. Sophomore from Dallas. Coming in with over 445 yards rushing on the season.
Talked with him yesterday. He said, my position coach, Kevin Smith, I love talking with him. So what was one of the things he talked about? He said patience as a runner. You could see it there on that run.
Near side ball that's caught by Watkins. And Winston will get a few yards up to the 28.
That time, good job by Washington State. You see it, you fight through that first blocker. You see a little bit shaken up. It looks like it's
Timeout for a defensive player injury.
For Washington State.
Lamb, the junior from Bellingham, Washington, blocked a field goal at Colorado State earlier this year. Cougs kind of in this purgatory right now in the Pac-2. The Pac-12 was a 12-team league 2 years ago. It has 2 members now. But a bunch more from the Mountain West are joining Jimmy Rogers in Washington State next year.
Yeah, they'll be well positioned once that conference reestablishes itself. A number of the Mountain West members as well making that transition. And Washington State, from a resource standpoint, they will be among the best from a facilities and ability to build from a program standpoint in that conference.
And
Lane sitting atop it.
And Matt, Lane Kiffin has lived it. He's been there as the head coach at USC and lost at Washington State in the past when he was coaching in the Pac-12 conference. He was effusive in his praise of that program and all that they've built. Of course, you think so much about the late, great Mike Leach and what he built at Washington State before he came to this state to coach against Coach Kiffin at Mississippi State.
Yeah, I mean, Lane almost, he was lamenting, what the demise of what the Pac-12 then became. There's no question Jimmy Rogers excited about the future of what that conference will become starting next season.
Lane Kiffin wants to score some points right now, midway through the second quarter without any. Chambliss on a high snap, hands to Lacey. Lacey slides down inside the 22 near the 21-yard line. A nice first half for Kiwan.
It really has been. He looks like an inspired runner, to say the least, all season long, really. You see flashes of it a season ago, albeit in a different uniform. Lacey building on that, second leading rusher in the entire conference coming into this contest.
8 carries, 57 yards, and here's a 3rd and 3. Design quarterback run with nowhere to run. Isaac Terrell again in there. It's 4th down. And Lane Kiffin brings on the field goal team.
And that time, just a little indecisive was Chambliss. It ended up costing him. Good job by Washington State, kind of clogging it up there in the middle.
Lucas Carnero missed his first attempt. He's now 38 of 44 in his terrific career. Would be a 40-yard attempt on this 4th and 4. Junior from Cornelius, North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte. To put Ole Miss on the board. And it's 7-3. Washington State still leading in its first ever trip to Oxford. Who on earth is going to play in that game is my question. There. About a dozen teams that have a chance. Maybe one of these teams will have a chance one day. I never thought that all these teams would leave and go to the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC and leave Wazoo and Oregon State behind. These new teams, the Mountain West, are coming into the Pac-12 in 2026. Wild. What a time to be alive. The one conference that still geographically makes sense is the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, despite some of the Southwestern members, ones that used to be members of that.
Fair.
But no,
but at least they're in the South.
Mostly South, yep.
Yeah.
The mostly Southeastern Conference, I think, is probably.
We don't have any teams from the Pacific part of the country or the northern part of the country.
I mean, really, there's not a conference out there that mathematically or geographically really makes sense anymore. Either the numbers are wrong or the location's wrong.
Yeah. UCLA's beating Michigan State right now in a conference matchup in East Lansing, Michigan, as an example.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. Here, Washington State with a 7-3 lead in the football with 6:19 to go in the second quarter. Zevi Eckhouse throws on the run to Tony Freeman. And Tony has a first down. T-Free, as he's called, gets 12 yards.
Nice job by Joshua Meredith outside at the point of attack. Again, we've mentioned it. Cougar receivers having to do work as blockers. We've seen the Cougar offense. See them out there doing the signal, and they're stirring it up, that's for sure. With an earlier touchdown drive, trying to build on their 4-point lead.
Zevi, another line of scrimmage ball that's caught by Meredith. And he gets up to the 40-yard line. It's a pickup of 3. Tackled by Wydette Williams, who came over from ULM. And that interception against LSU the last time Ole Miss played football.
Big hit by Wydette Williams. In this game, the hope Pete Golding was saying is he was wanting to see some of his guys add one, change the math, win a block. Have not been able and haven't really needed to add to that core. Blitz anybody, just win a block at the point.
Handoff goes to Johnson. Angel doesn't get much. Maybe a yard. A flag does come down at the end of the play. Taj Chambers on the tackle.
Yeah, it looked like Ruban Mielen maybe got his hand in the headgear a little bit.
Personal foul, face mask, grabbing the helmet opening, number 1 defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And he didn't need to do it. You had defenders there. You're fighting, scratching, clawing, trying to play physical. We just got done talking about it, trying to find a way you win that block and make a play, but you just can't grab that helmet opening. So watch Ruban Mielen reaches over. He ends up getting the kind of the back of his helmet. Yeah, you can't grab any part of the helmet opening. You heard that explanation. It's not just the face mask. Big penalty there.
And let's watch how Jimmy Rogers in Washington State manages the clock here. They get it first in the second half. Eckhouse fakes the handoff and throws downfield incomplete. He's looking for Tony Freeman, who is covered up.
crowd was wanting a hold on the inside. At that time, it looked like by Pulu, the right guard for Washington State, let go just in time. It was close. Flag could have come out on the pass rush and a win on the inside out.
On second down, Eckhouse keeps it himself, and that's a first down. A flag comes flying in at the end of the play.
Holding. Offense number 83. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Second down.
Adamola Fale, the tight end.
You'll watch him climb up. Olafale on the right side of your screen. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot there. I didn't see a hold on the previous call. Felt like if there was going to be a holding call, it would have been on the previous play, not on that one. Regardless, fortuitous because the Ole Miss defenders came flying upfield. Washington State had two pullers. You don't need to block anybody if the defenders are going to block themselves by getting too far upfield.
And Matt, instead of 1st and 10 down inside the 35, it's 2nd and 18 on their own side of the field. Eckhouse gets it out of the backfield to Pula Lossie. It'll be 3rd and long as Chambers pushed him out.
Almost barely back to the original line of scrimmage. We've seen that a couple of times in this game. Obviously, Ole Miss with a promising drive, a 3rd short conversion, a holding penalty, brought it back, ultimately resulted in a fumble. And now here, if you're Washington State, as you mentioned earlier, Taylor, obviously you want to extend this drive, try to deny yet another offensive possession. Not just about scoring, but also trying to keep Ole Miss's offense on that sideline.
Eckhouse under pressure, dumps it off, incomplete. Woods had room to run, too. Maxwell Woods can't make the catch, and Washington State will have to punt it back to Ole Miss.
Had it set up. Ole Miss had dropped back. They showed pressure, dropped back, but had a blocker in space. It just doesn't matter. You got to look that ball all the way in. It's too eager.
Ryan Harris to punt for Washington State. Harrison Wallace stands at his own 10-yard line. Ole Miss will start at their own 13 with 3:01 to go in the second quarter. Tonight, after the primetime game between the Gamecocks and number 11 LSU, we have SEC football final with Daria Noka, Chris Doring, and Benjamin Watson. They'll take you through the biggest stories of the day, break down all the games. It's also available on the all-new ESPN app. Alabama leads 17-10 against Missouri as they start the second half there. OU and Texas getting ready in a little while at the State Fair in Dallas. Who do you like in that one?
I like Oklahoma. Part of that, even, and I might have liked him even if Michael Hawkins was starting at quarterback. We're expecting to see John Mateer back in at quarterback for Oklahoma. See how that surgically repaired hand performs for the Sooner quarterback.
Ole Miss averages 40.6 points per game. They have 3 right now as Lacey gets free again. He's been terrific in the first half.
That's your guy. You know, if you're going to get this thing going, just under 3 minutes in this half, get that ground game going. Lacey has been a consistent contributor to this Rebel offense here in the first half.
To him again. Breaking tackles, but upended at the 26 by Jamori Colson.
Nice cut by Lacey. Watch him bounce. Get this ball outside. Colson, pretty nice open field tackle.
And Lacey's free again. Look at him cut through defenders all the way past the 45-yard line.
Well, Alyssa talked about it in the pre-show. Missed tackles for Washington State. Highest percentage of missed tackles of any team in the FBS has shown up here.
The 2-minute timeout.
22 yards for Keywan Lacey, and Ole Miss trying to get going. Look forward to that, guys. Yeah, 4 times they've been in Washington State territory, and they only have 3 points. But Keywan Lacey is hot running the football. He has 91 yards rushing. And on a play-by-play basis, they're giving him the ball. He doesn't get much there. As Parker McKenna makes the tackle. Ole Miss does have 2 timeouts remaining.
Well, if he was getting tired, he got that break a little bit to get his legs back underneath him. Why you would stop feeding him. He's been running the football well, controlling the line of scrimmage up front. Before that last carry, that was the first explosive play of the game. 38 plays before they got a 20-plus yard gain. One of the most explosive offenses in the country.
Trinidad Chambliss on 2nd and 9 with plenty of time. Has to go to his safety valve, Lacey, and he's out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Parker McKenna pushing him out, so 3rd down for Ole Miss with 79 ticks left in the half.
Well, that time just nowhere to go with the football in coverage. They only rushed 4, so there was time, just nowhere to go before dropping it down to your outlet.
Timeout, Washington State.
First charge timeout. Washington State. 30 seconds.
Coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the Pride of the South Marching Band on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN app. Homecoming in Oxford is always a wonderful thing to see. Great atmosphere in the square last night, in the Grove tailgating this morning, and you can bet they're going back there as soon as this one is over with to watch the afternoon games.
That's assuming that some of them ever left, right? I mean, you think about this place. You cannot gauge how many people are at the game. They might not be in the stadium, but they're at the game. That Grove was packed. If that Grove emptied out, it would probably have filled this stadium. Who knows? It might be half full still over there among the trees.
Trinidad Chambliss has completed 8 in a row, mostly underneath balls here, Matt. Here's a 3rd and 3 for him. Time to throw, and it's a first down ball inside the 40 to Daquan Wright.
Well, it was the tight ends the last time out versus LSU that were the leading receivers. First time we've seen them able to get the ball to the tight end position. Logan Diggs, who was in the backfield, now flexed out to the top of your screen.
Chambliss with pressure, throws, complete, inside the 15 to Wright. It'll be 1st and goal, Ole Miss. Biggest play of the half, a 30-yarder.
Just laid it in there. You see the Cougar defense very much on its heels in the 2-minute drill.
Logan Diggs. Timeout, Ole Miss, as he gets a yard or 2. Schlemgen on the tackle.
Second charge timeout. Ole Miss. 30 seconds in length. Please reset the game clock to 40 seconds.
Almost a little too much touch on that football. Defender able to recover. Wright was open. That time Chambliss almost aiming it into his tight end. Regardless, a reception. And as you mentioned, Taylor, now 2 explosive plays, both of which coming on this drive. One on the ground with Keywan Lacey, and then now Daquan Wright coming up with the big catch to get Ole Miss back in scoring position, but they've been here before. The Cougs have found a way to get a stop.
You think about it, Matt, they average about 4 plays over 30 yards per game. That was their first of the day. terrific in the red zone until today. Lane Kiffin does have one timeout remaining.
I think the previous two plays, so Logan Diggs was in there the previous two. One on a passing down, then got that last carry, but Kewan Lacey, who got this drive started, back in the backfield now.
Lacey straight ahead, and he gets down near the 2, and Kiffin will use his last timeout.
Third and final timeout. Ole Miss, 30 seconds in length. Please reset the game clock to 35 seconds.
10th play of the drive coming up, and it'll be a 3rd and goal inside the 3. And you would think Ole Miss has 2 plays to try to score a touchdown here.
You got to have your hurry-up operation, though, in mind. No way to stop the clock if you keep the ball on the ground, which in this drive, got the big pass to Daquan Wright, but otherwise that passing game has kind of betrayed you so far.
Lacey needs 2 yards for 100. You would think that's what they want to do to get these 2 yards.
Just got to be smart about it, right? You run that football, you have to get it in the end zone. This time, no way to get a first down. Got to score right here. So because of that, you know, if you keep that ball on the ground, you better be quick and prudent about it. Get over the football quickly, something that they do typically. Just have to have that in-game awareness. No other way to stop the clock.
Lacey stands to Chambliss's left. Damian Taylor is in the game as well. Chambliss throws in zone, and that's a touchdown. Daquan Wright, 3 big catches on the drive. Ole Miss leads for the first time today. Took them almost 30 minutes to finally grab the lead. Ole Miss is only up 9-7, and now they'll move Lucas Carnero over to kick the field goal. He was started. It looked like he was going to line up at wide receiver there. Carnero has never missed one of these. 108 for 108. Trinidad Chambliss has completed 11 straight balls. The last one a touchdown ball to that man, Daquan Wright.
That showed up just in time. An impressive drive by the Ole Miss offense. They kind of bluffed that now screen out there to Harrison Wallace III. Daquan Wright just slipped upfield. Well-placed pass that time by Trinidad Chambliss. You wonder if that's the kind of confidence-building drive he needed after the way that he started this football game. It was choppy. Think about the holding penalty. Undid the earlier possession, resulted in a turnover. Was that what it takes to ignite it? And on top of that, also kind of have to wonder, 45 plays now Ole Miss has run in the first half. We talked about Washington State, how they've held up relatively well defensively, but that drive right before half, just pounding and piling up the plays on the visiting Cougars.
Carnero to kick it to Leighton Smithson. Carnero is a touchback machine, so Washington State will start at their own 25, need 40, maybe 50 yards to give their kicker a chance with 31 seconds and 2 timeouts.
Well, interesting to see how aggressive Washington State wants to try to be right here. You know that you get the ball coming out in the second half. Certainly don't want to do anything stupid here in the short half of the field, especially when you've been able to play your way into a one-possession football game.
Sevi Eckhouse has played a good first half and will throw with 31 seconds left, stepping up and now going down with flags everywhere. Cam Franklin gets the sack, but fouls committed on the Rebel defense.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 5. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. The clock will start on the snap.
Another face mask penalty on the Rebel defense, and Cam Franklin just too high with that inside hand. You see it. Got his money's worth on that one. Spun Eckhouse completely around. Of course, you get some cheap yards out of that.
Clock about to start. Washington State does have 2 timeouts left. Eckhouse surveys, throws incomplete, looking for Johnson out of the backfield. 18 seconds left. Their kicker Jack Stevens did miss earlier from 50 plus, missing that field goal that ended up short. Made one from 49 earlier this year. Eckhouse in trouble. Ball's on the ground. Looks like Washington State's at the bottom of that pile. And Jimmy Rogers, I think, has seen enough. Let's just go to the locker room.
That was a near catastrophe. See, as the time ran out, would have been a change of possession. You get at least one crack at it. Officials are in there still trying to figure out.
Sean Womack at the bottom of that pile.
He's insisting that I had the ball. I had the ball there.
The ball was recovered by the offense. The clock has expired for the half. That's the end of the second quarter. Halftime.
It didn't have the most rhythm you've ever seen.
No.
Ole Miss leads Washington State 10-7 at the break. Trinidad Chambliss finishes the first half, completing 11 in a row. As Coach Kiffin is looking for his 50th win as a head coach in Oxford, and he wants to know about that end of half sequence there.
He got a nice answer from his offense finally able to capitalize on one of their better drives.
And Lane is running to Alyssa Lang.
Coach, what was the explanation the official gave you just now?
Oh, I just made sure they looked at it upstairs. He said they did. We just really started really slowly. Good first drive and stalled down there in the red zone. Missed a field goal on the next one, but finished good there with the touchdown drive. So we got to go back and come out, play a really good half of football.
Saw you put your arm around Trinidad after that touchdown drive. What'd you say to him?
Just said, let's get back to playing like you did in that series. You know, early on, I said, you know, let's not go back to that Division II stuff.
Thanks, Coach.
This is SEC football here in Oxford, and Ole Miss leads Washington State 10-7. Let's send it to the studio for the halftime report. Peter Burns, it's all yours. Welcome back to SEC Network College Football, presented by Allstate. Number 4, Ole Miss in a fight with Washington State. It's 10-7 as we start the third quarter. Ole Crimson flew for the 327th straight time on College Game Day this morning in Eugene, Oregon. It's flying for the first time here in Oxford, and they've given the Rebels 30 minutes of football.
There's no question. I mean, you think about the way Ole Miss opened this football game, it looked pretty promising offensively, getting all the way down to the 4-yard line of Washington State, only to come away empty-handed. They got it down to the 5. A holding penalty brought them back. Really, Washington State defensively keeping them in this football game, and Ole Miss kind of limping into this ball game offensively. Not a lot of great play, especially from Trinidad Chambliss, who was able to finally right the ship with that final offensive possession right at the end of the first half.
So Washington State down 3, led for most of the first half. We'll get the football to start the second half. Let's take a look at the All-State good hands plays.
You know, at the beginning of this game, we just got done talking about how, you know, it was a little bit tough sledding in the passing game, not so much in the ground game. Kewan Lacey really pacing the Rebel offense, got things going, ignited that final drive, really kind of powering the Rebels down the football field. The first explosive play came on the 38th offensive snap for Ole Miss in this ball game. So it's been Lacey really that's kind of been the steadying force for Ole Miss to finally find their way into the end zone to be able to take the 3-point lead. Washington State getting the ball first if they can build on their first half performance.
That's Kirby Voorhees, who gets up past the 30-yard line as we go down to Alyssa.
Guys, the message from head coach Jimmy Rogers to his team at halftime was win the play, and the play will turn into a series. He said we're a missed field goal away from this being a tied football game, motivating his guys to say, hey, I know the odds are stacked against us. It is up to you to keep the momentum on our side of the football by playing clean and not turning it over.
To be so impressed by what we've seen the first 30-plus minutes of their fight against an SEC opponent. Voorhees 8 yards on first down, back to him on second, and he slides through there for a first down run up to the 37-yard line. We've seen Kirby Voorhees, Angel Johnson, Maxwell Woods in the backfield carrying the football in the first half. All are South Dakota State transfers coming over with their head coach, who of course won a national championship for the Jackrabbits 2 years ago at the FCS level. They're averaging 5 yards a carry.
The running game is what they want to be about. They've struggled prior to getting Eckhouse back in their quarterback to get anything out of the ground game.
Eckhouse dumps it off. Pula Lossi breaking tackles and gets up to the 41-yard line. They've relied heavily, Matt, the last couple of years on their quarterbacks. Cam Ward in 2023 before he transferred to Miami and before he played for the Tennessee Titans. And then last year was John Mateer before he transferred to play for the Oklahoma Sooners. This year they're wanting their backs and their quarterback to run the football first.
Yeah, well, certainly not because of a lack of confidence with Zevi Eckhouse in there, a guy that they say was kind of pressing during the summer camp. Part of the reason why he didn't win that starting job initially. But a guy that certainly has the assurance of his teammates.
Another line of scrimmage ball. It's Freeman who gets around the corner. Flags are everywhere. It would be a first down.
Holding offense number 23. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Second down.
And just about every official saw Trey Lechner commit that foul.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a clean play at first, and then towards the end of it, watch Trey Lechner and you see it, and eventually you just got to cut loose. As soon as you see the outside shoulder of the defender kind of turn inside like that, where he can't get loose, get that outside arm free, makes it an easy call for the official.
Instead of a first down, it's 2nd and 13 for Wazoo back at their own 34. And they get back half of it. Near the 40 is Landon Wright, the man that had the touchdown catch earlier. Third down.
And that's part of the frustration from the first half. You know, we talk about Ole Miss offensively, but defensively, you know, one of the things that Pete Golding talked about was, look, I like what I have here. We got some guys, obviously, that have to step up, new faces. This uncontested explosives that cost him that touchdown in the first half. The confusion there in the second, in the back end.
Looking for their second third down conversion.
Interesting alignment for Ole Miss along their front.
They rush 4, flags everywhere. Launching downfield, and it is caught. That's Tony Freeman. Wow, what a grab.
They said Tony.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 64 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Negates a 36-yard completion.
Got to be frustrating You think about it, legal formation of all things. Tony Freeman goes down there, makes an acrobatic catch. Two defenders converging. All negated by a penalty. So you think about two costly penalties here on this drive already. None more so maybe in the game than that one right there. An opening possession here in the second half of Washington State trying to set the tone, only to be negated.
It's 3rd and 13 again. Eckhouse with time. Skips it in there with more flags down, and this is a hit on the quarterback. Deshaun Womack hit Voorhees.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 15. Contact with the helmet. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Hit Eckhouse, the quarterback, that is.
You just can't go high. You cannot do this. You can't go high to the head of the quarterback. The white hat, the head referee's job is the quarterback. His eyes are on him. That and, Womack is right in the face of the passer. He knows the ball is gone. You just got to be smarter about that. That's 4 penalties. 3 of them are personal foul. It's 2 face masks and now roughing the passer.
Eckhouse with a fresh set of downs. Throws to Pula Lossi out of the backfield, who spins into Ole Miss territory. Will be second down. Ole Miss has been able to force negative plays on defense. They've been able to get the football deep into Washington State territory. They've just made too many mistakes, and they haven't been able to finish drives.
Yeah, get a water ball to the guys holding the down marker. They've been all over the place. You got a big gainer all the way down, then you got to bring it back because of penalty. We have 3 big penalties right here just to start the second half.
2nd and 5 after Pula Lossi's 5-yard catch. Voorhees, first down and more. He's free. Touchdown, Washington State. The longest run of the year for the Cougars is a 46-yard touchdown run in Oxford, Mississippi.
So watch, he's going to end up hitting it right here. They do a good job of sealing off these 2 defenders. Watch him get downhill, just split this defense. Great job climbing up on TJ Daugherty. Bad angle and run support at safety. Bang your head on the goalpost. What an opening drive.
They are stunned at homecoming in Oxford. Washington State travels 2,100 plus miles for its first ever trip to Oxford, and they lead on SEC Network. Alabama and Mizzou close, and this one a 4-point lead for Washington State as Ole Miss will have it at their own 25-yard line with 10:19 to go in the third quarter. First game that Washington State has played against the SEC since 2013. Matt Stinchcomb was there to call it. A 1-7 record against the SEC. They did beat Tennessee in Knoxville back in 1988. This is why Pullman, Washington is empty right now, and they've moved.
They're all here in Oxford.
They're all here in Oxford. Kewan Lacey, 98 yards running in the first half, goes over 100 with that run as Parker McKenna makes the tackle.
Well, he was the one that kept him going offensively in the first half. Now, obviously, Trinidad Chambliss was able to get going in the passing game, but really it was Kewan Lacey that provided the yardage and certainly the spark on that touchdown drive right before half.
Chambliss gives it to Lacey again. He's able to break a tackle or two and barely get past the 30 as Caleb Francel makes the tackle. It's another third down for the Rebels. 5 of 9 today.
Another injured Cougar defender.
Timeout for a Washington State player injury.
Looks like I'm surprised that we haven't seen a little bit more of this as far as looks like it's probably a cramp out there. We talked about just how warm it is. The fall has fallen everywhere but here in Oxford, Mississippi.
We'll take the timeout with them with 9:39 to go in the third quarter.
Introducing Sports Center for you, personalized every single day. Now available on the ESPN app. Powered by your favorites.
You're going to get a message from that ESPN app talking about an upset alert if this holds on. Caleb Francel for Washington State is off the field after an injury. Trinidad Chambliss, 11 straight completions, and he's facing a 3rd and 5 here. Chambliss with plenty of time, steps up and goes down. Isaac Terrell got home again. That's his 2nd sack of the day.
Terrell just kept working. We saw it earlier, as you mentioned. He's the one that forced the fumble. He just keeps working the right edge of Jaden Williams at right tackle. And Chambliss just didn't have anywhere to go with the football downfield. Again, well covered in the route tree. And Chambliss going down. We just haven't seen him be very opportunistic with his feet in this game.
Oscar Bird's first punt of the day. Bounces short, takes an Ole Miss bounce. And marked dead near the 33, a 43-yard punt. And we've got Ole Miss and Washington State players that are introducing themselves to each other back at the 25.
The hospitality doesn't make it from the square into the stadium.
Especially when the opposition is still winning midway through the third quarter.
When you think about Washington State coming into this game, one of their better performances on the ground was last time out versus Colorado State. 33 carries, 158 yards. A lot of that was on one big long run, about a 45-yarder. It's been really tough sledding for them to run the football. Only 3 touchdowns coming into this game. So for them to be able to be north of 100 rushing yards in this game, they've only averaged 78 yards on the ground a game. It's been surprising so far through just more than 2 quarters.
Eckhouse hands it off to Angel Johnson. Johnson doesn't get much. He gets up to the 30, near the 35-yard line. 2nd down. We were talking about Eckhouse coming in, and it was Jackson Potter who started the season. They thought that Potter would be the heir apparent to Ward and Mateer, and Potter did throw a few interceptions rather, in a loss to North Texas. So it's Eckhouse who's been the starter since and has played well. Cam Ward told me earlier this week he watched Eckhouse in the bowl game last year and is still very much a Wazoo man, even though he finished his career at Miami. John Mateer is
First charge timeout, Washington State.
John Mateer doesn't have time to watch this. He's getting ready for Texas in a little while.
30 seconds.
Such a tall order. You think of where Washington State's program is right now, Matt. 3-2 on the season. They beat Idaho, and San Diego State lost badly at North Texas and to Washington in the Apple Cup, but they won 20-3 at Colorado State, which sort of turned their season around before an open week. Have to go to undefeated number 19 Virginia next. And the weird thing to me, given that they're in the Pac-2, is they play a home and home in the same season against Oregon State.
So odd when you think about it. We were asking Coach Rogers earlier, what's that like? You ever done that before? He's like, no, that's never come up. Now Washington State took that timeout. Looked like they had 12 men on the field. Confusion from a personnel standpoint on that second down.
Vaught Hemingway Stadium is trying to get riled up here to get their Rebels a stop. It's 2nd and 8. Eckhouse steps up, and that's a first down.
That's the element that they were lacking. The only rush for Ole Miss. You see, get out of a rush lane, just spin out of it. Will Eccles was trying to rush, spun out of it, ends up losing his rush lane, and Eckhouse just took that opportunity to get upfield and convert that first down. This was the piece. They said, look, we wish that we went with Eckhouse. We wish we had seen that. He's done an excellent job being opportunistic.
10 more yards. He has 67 rushing. Hands it to Angel Johnson, who's going the wrong direction. And he'll lose 5 yards. Will Eccles, the initial hit.
Time, great job by Will Eccles getting upfield. Just forcing Angel Johnson to bubble his run. Couldn't get downhill, and another Cougar down.
Timeout for an injured offensive player.
Jalen Caldwell. Caldwell, the junior from Chicago, Illinois, laying down there on the field right now, so we'll take a break with them. Washington State still up 4. You're watching the SEC. Washington State leading the Ole Miss Rebels 14-10 midway through the third quarter. Jalen Caldwell dealing with leg issues on the ground for quite some time. Started at right tackle today for the injured Christian Hilborn, and he's out of the game now.
Now it's a double switch, so they move left guard Johnny Lester to right tackle. And now they got a backup in there at left guard in Noah Dunham.
On first down, Eckhouse, line of scrimmage throw to Neal. And Neal gets around the corner. It's near 80 degrees today, Alyssa, in the middle of October, as we send it to our chief meteorologist, Dr. Alyssa Lang.
You know, I do have experience in this department, but yeah, it is fairly warm down here, I will say. It feels a lot warmer than 80 degrees. I'm over here on the Washington State sideline watching as they're tending to some of these guys who are cramping up, mixing in the Gatorade packets into the water bottles to make sure these guys are getting as many electrolytes as possible. But it is a toasty October Saturday.
What does Washington State have in this heat on a 3rd and 9? Eckhouse caught, drilled is Voorhees, short of the first down marker. Wydett Williams Jr. on the tackle. It's 4th down.
Not the first time we've called out Wydett Williams Jr.'s name. A physical tackle, number 16 on the right side of your screen. Look at that. That's a clinic reel tackle right there. Excellent job getting down there, making that play on Voorhees. Voorhees, the guys, boy, he's enjoyed some success in this game, especially here in the second half with the touchdown run. Wydett Williams Jr. able to deny him there with a great tackle.
3rd punt of the day for Ryan Harris. And Wallace steps up to field it. Tuesday and Wednesday at 10 a.m., it's SEC basketball tip-off presented by Academy Sports. And the travels of Alyssa Lang continue early on Tuesday and Wednesday. Looking forward to that. It's SEC basketball season right around the corner.
Unreal. Happens fast. So you think about the way Ole Miss started here in the second half. They tried to get that ground game going, similarly to how they sparked their touchdown scoring drive late in the second quarter. Just nowhere to go. Ultimately finishing that opening possession, 3 plays for -1 yard. Washington State getting after the Rebels in the ground game here early in the second half.
Chambliss spinning there at the distance and swings it out to the sidelines to Deuce Alexander, and he tiptoes and stays in bounds past the 30. first down for Ole Miss. It's 18 yards.
I'll see if Ole Miss is able to get into their tempo offense. They started the game this way. They're able to get Washington State on their heels, not quick over the football.
Alexander on a sweep. And he gets past the 40, up near the 42. We wondered if we would see Austin Simmons in this game today. We haven't seen him yet. It's been Chambliss throughout. Didn't start quick, but has come on and played effectively as the game has continued. Here's a run by Lacey, and it's a patient run right past a first down for Kiwan.
I've been impressed by the way he has run this football. As you see Austin Simmons on the sideline, not seen him. He hasn't really been engaged with a ton of the coaches. We've seen him throwing the football quite a bit.
He's itching. That guy really wants to get into the game, but it's been Chambliss's turn. Trinidad, plenty of time, and slings it in there, and that's behind Winston Watkins. You know, Lane Kiffin told Alyssa Lang at halftime that he told Trinidad Chambliss not to play like a Division II quarterback there in the first half.
That's good advice. Depending on what Division II quarterback you're talking about. They've stuck with him. He's trying to build his confidence. We thought maybe that last drive in the second quarter would have done so, but that ball also was behind and low for Watkins.
Snaps a streak of 12 straight completions. Chambliss facing pressure and is sacked again. Darian Dalton gets home for his first sack, the San Diego State transfer.
He's able to beat left guard Delano Townsend. Able to just get up there. And we mentioned this a couple of times where Chambliss, who is a threat as a runner, has not been able to create a lot with his legs in this game.
Ole Miss only sacked 4 times in the first 5 games. They've given up 3 sacks today. It's 3rd and 16. Chambliss. Good ball to Stribling. Short of the first down marker. From 3rd and 16 to 4th and 1.
Really, actually a nice tackle after that catch. You see Ole Miss quickly over this football.
Lacey on a direct snap, running into defenders. The extra effort as he bounces it outside, gets Ole Miss the first down.
Wow. How about that effort by Lacey? Repeatedly in short yardage. Boy, has he been effective. Nowhere to go. Just a wall of red. His own blockers, just not a lot of movement. Bounces off, keeps those legs churning, found some space out there on the edge. Great second effort by Kiwan Lacey.
Lacey out, Diggs in. Logan hitting Cougs 8 yards downfield. It was Cale Reeder that took the hit from Diggs.
How about that collision? Wow. And that was coming downhill. Big Cale Reeder. Diggs looked like he got the better end of that deal.
Ole Miss has been down here now 6 times in the game.
Previous play is under further review for possible targeting.
Diggs, of course, was at Notre Dame, then at LSU, now at Ole Miss. We'll take a look at the end of this run, Matt, with Cale Reeder, the Washington State defender, and Logan Diggs, the ball carrier.
Yeah, the trick of this, it's a real challenge, is, here's a ball carrier, he's running downhill. So, these are two mountain goats on the side of a mountain. Bam. They both lower their head. So who's targeting who here? I mean, it doesn't, he's not a defenseless player as a ball carrier. There's no launch from an indicator standpoint, all of those things. Both these guys lower their head. Bam.
After video review, there is personal foul, targeting defense, number 25. He is disqualified. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed. First down.
By the letter of the law, I guess it's hard to question it, but as you said, he looked like the guy that was the defender there as Diggs was leading with his helmet into Reeder.
Can't make contact, any part of the body, with the crown of your helmet. And both of those players would have done so.
Well, Ole Miss is only 1 for 2 in the red zone today. Here is their third trip. Lacey slips and gets a couple on the carry. Second down, Keywan, the transfer from Missouri, with over 100 yards rushing in today's game. And we have another Washington State player down.
The injury took place prior to the ball being locked.
Seen this 3 times in the second half.
Yeah, I should have never said anything about the cramping, because
I believe that's Isaac Terrell.
Yep, it's happened a lot.
Nicknamed Bobby after Bobby Boucher, and hopefully Vicky Valancourt has water on the sidelines.
Yeah, some much needed H2O on the sideline there. He kind of looks like Bobby Boucher. I can see it. We've seen this a lot here in the second half. Incidentally, for Washington State offensive players too. So, you know, it's the thought is, of course, oh, these happen because you're looking to slow down an offense. It's unlikely given the relevance that we've seen of this here in the second half. You see him limping off. We're going to go over there and dump a bunch of Gatorade in him.
Well, we have world-famous Cougs that have our attention right now in this game as Washington State tries to pull off this upset 14-10. I'm sure all of the college football world is like, whoa, Ole Miss a 30-plus point favorite in the game, but trailing near the end of the third quarter. Trying to change that here. Fake to Lacey, and a back shoulder ball that's incomplete behind Harrison Wallace. Jamori Colson in coverage.
All the fans and attendants are sitting there saying, hey, wait a second. You know, this is intended to be a back shoulder ball. He's thrown at the front, right there at the pylon. A lot of hand fighting there, right? And there was plenty of contact by both. That's a fair no call.
Here comes pressure from Washington State. Chambliss gets out of there. Trinidad, touchdown!
Well, we talked about it. This is kind of what's been missing in this game. Trinidad Chambliss, when he's needed to, could he create? Typically, he's been dangerous with his legs. Not a lot of called runs for the quarterback in this game. Not a lot of scramble yards either. Chambliss has been getting on the ground. This time, able to weave his way through the Cougar defense, aided by that targeting penalty. And Ole Miss able to answer here in the second half to reclaim the lead.
And the Rebels are up 3 on an 11-play, 82-yard drive that took almost 4.5 minutes. Chambliss had negative yards rushing before that carry due to sacks that he's taken in the game. Now it's 11 yards rushing total. He had over 50 in each of the last 3 victories for Ole Miss. Seen a lot of Trinidad and Tobago flags around Oxford in the last month because of this young man that transferred in from Ferris State.
Yeah. Coach Giffen was quick to point out he's never been to an island, except for, I think, Mackinac Island in Michigan.
Yeah, a
somewhere.
lake in Michigan, yes.
Technically still an island, but smaller body of water. Regardless, it's just in time, right? You think about that. The way this half started, inauspiciously, a -1 yard drive to open this half. They're able to tic-tac their way down the field. Targeting penalty gave them some bonus yards there. And then Chambliss finally able to let his rushing ability be felt in this ball game.
Rebels up 3 here. Let's get a studio update from Peter Burns. Look forward to that, Pete. That's in Knoxville after this one's over, but plenty to say about what happens in the last 15:32 as Ole Miss is back in front on Wazoo by 3. Eckhouse. No, sir. Stopped at the line of scrimmage there by Will Eccles.
We've called his name a couple of times. Last series, kind of spun out a little bit, got out of his rush lane, able to leak yards, then came up, made a play, and then again here, fighting off blockers. Pete Golding, defensive coordinator, is going to be pleased with some of the plays he's seeing. Guys just got to defeat a block. Sometimes you just got to whip the guy in front of you.
This is the end of the third quarter.
What a fight by Washington State in the first 45 minutes. What do they have left for number 4 Ole Miss in the 4th frame? We're back with that here in just a moment. What a fight by Washington State in the first 3 quarters. They are more than a 30-point underdog in this game, and they've led most of the way. Ole Miss scored the last time they had it, and now Wazoo's down 3 to start the 4th, facing a 2nd and 10. Eckhouse, quarterback, throws to the sideline. Good ball. And it's Tony Freeman that gets up near the first down marker. Appears he's inches short.
And Washington State back intact along their offensive line. Jalen Caldwell back in there at right tackle. They had that double switch when Caldwell went out with the cramps. You can see the sound. The fans haven't been a huge factor in this game.
Kirby Voorhees is behind Eckhouse, now next to him, and takes the snap and drops it. Washington State had what they want there, but Voorhees couldn't handle the snap, and Wazoo will have to punt.
Lined up in that pistol, and Eckhouse, he just shifts over, and he's the one that handled the cadence, and Voorhees just too anxious. Not sure he was going to have a ton of running room anyway. Good penetration up front. Nice knockback by the Rebel defensive front.
Ryan Harris, 4th punt today. Harrison Wallace won't be able to field this one. A short kick that takes an Ole Miss bounce. And Wallace came up to dive on that football near midfield. And Ole Miss has the ball and the lead when we come back. Back, you're watching SEC football. One of the most identifiable parts of this wonderful conference is the square in Oxford, and it has been a fight today for the home team against Washington State. Ole Miss unable to score each time they went deep in Washington State territory to start the game. Trinidad Chambliss has fought through some inaccuracy, and ran it in for the last touchdown. And he's out there near midfield here at the fourth quarter and has the football still. And gets near midfield up to the 50-yard line. What have you thought about Chambliss fighting through some adversity early?
Yeah, you think about the inaccuracies to start this game. It wasn't like he came out throwing darts. Had a couple of misses at opening drive, the fourth down attempt. The ball's behind Stribling in the back of the end zone. We saw that a lot of these, especially on the crossing patterns, over the middle, the timing throws.
Keywan Lacey's been good, but he goes the wrong way that time. It'll be third down as Deron Goodman on the tackle.
And we've seen in this game where Lacey, the more downhill runs, has been more effective. So you see him trying to work out there to the perimeter. And Goodman, great job coming up in run support to force this third long.
Chambliss deflected, incomplete. Malaki Taase got his hands on that one and forces a Rebel punt.
Well, Taase got great push on Townsend. Watch it left guard. So you see Taase just working. And great job getting his hand up. If you're not going to get to the quarterback, the ball's going to be coming out. Chambliss, who's not a very tall quarterback at 6 feet, gets that ball tipped.
Just the third punt today for Oscar Bird, second, excuse me. That takes an Ole Miss bounce, and Freeman wisely fields that to give Washington State a few more yards. Let's get another studio update from Peter. Love it. We got TVs everywhere up here in the box at Vaught-Hemingway. Alabama up 3 with 1:35 to go. Mizzou has 2 timeouts. Ole Miss up 3. Washington State has the ball with 12:14 to go. One-score games in the SEC everywhere. Here's Angel Johnson, and Angel gets up past the 15 up to the 18-yard line where Chris Graves makes the tackle.
If you're Ole Miss defensively, you're sitting there, and part of the message is to say, look, it's the explosive plays that have killed us in this game. The 2 Washington State scores, one on the big run, you end up getting sealed off, misfitting on that run, you end up getting gashed. The other, you're turned around, Ricky Fletcher just leaving Landon Wright for the touchdown. Pete Golding sitting there going, hey man, just do your job. You need to do 2 people's job. You can only do yours.
Echow still has the ball. Faked the throw and ran for the first. Uman Yellen had the pressure on him and couldn't bring him down, and fresh set of downs for Wazoo.
A heck of a cut that time by Eckhouse, because he was trying to get that ball out to the right side of the formation, and Monty Yellen was all over it, stuck his foot in the ground, and able to get downhill just enough to pick up the first.
Eckhouse with a flag down, throws, and it's caught on the sideline by Joshua Meredith.
Illegal formation, offense, 5 players in the backfield, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Another illegal formation penalty. We've seen this before in this game. And after a beautifully thrown ball and pitch and catch, Meredith able to come down with it, negated by that formation penalty. It's been a sloppy second half, really. It started out that way, just a flurry of penalties against both teams.
Vaught-Hemingway trying to come to life here as Ole Miss clings to a 3-point advantage. Eckhouse. Another little pop pass, and it's Joshua Meredith on the catch that gets past the 20. Tackle by Sage Ryan. It'll be second down.
You're just trying to move that line of scrimmage again. You've got two guys blocking out in front, your tight ends. That time, well played by Sage Ryan, and TJ Daughtery triggering quickly from his linebacking spot.
Eckhouse is in trouble, steps up, and gets something out of nothing there. There's facing all sorts of pressure from Uman Mielen again. It's third down.
Trying to just boot him out. Uman Mielen's waiting on him. You're expecting him to kind of come inside a little bit more on that play fake. Didn't. Great job by Eckhouse staying alive.
Third down, Washington State. They're 1 for 6 today. Eckhouse. Flags on the field, and he's down 2. Uman Mielen finally gets him down on the ground.
Holding offense, number 64. That penalty's declined. Results of the play, 4th down.
And really, Taylor, for the first time this afternoon, the crowd here at Vaught-Hemingway rose up. It got loud there for the third down. You really had an opportunity. You had chip help from your tight end, and Trey Lechner. Still didn't matter. Cam Franklin rather got upfield so quickly. Didn't matter on the holding penalty because Uman Mielen able to get him on the ground.
5th Ryan Harris punt upcoming here. Harrison Wallace standing at his own 45-yard line. Good punt. And it'll be down near the 40. The leading team has the football. The trailing team has the ball in the Alabama-Mizzou game.
SEC football is presented by Allstate. You're in good hands.
Oxford, Mississippi at Vaught-Hemingway for homecoming, where Ole Miss clings to this 3-point lead against Washington State. There's so much in front of Ole Miss with these huge landmine games in front of them, 5 big teams in front of Ole Miss, but they need to focus on Washington State. Washington State looking for their first AP Top 5 win since they won in Knoxville in 1988. Lane Kiffin will be the fastest of 50 wins in program history. Rebels up 3 with the ball. And it's Lacey who's getting free in the Washington State secondary and in their territory. Pushed by big linemen inside the 40.
Wow.
23 yards from Kewan Lacey, Diego Pounds, Delano Townsend,
That's right.
Bryson Sanders, Patrick Kudus, and Jaden Williams.
I mean, what a scrum. How about Kewan Lacey in this game? I don't know that you could run the football more effectively in more different ways. Power runner, speed, nice cuts.
Lacey, not much running room there. Anthony Polano on the tackle.
You know, Taylor, on that previous carry, it was, I mean, Washington State was basically begging them to run. The box count, 5 in the box, begging Ole Miss to get downhill, and Lacey over there trying to rest up. At the end of that run, that's just like 3 or 4 more carries.
He has 136 yards rushing in the game. Chambliss going for it all. Overthrown. He wanted Winston Watkins, who had Tucker large on him.
It just hadn't been there. I mean, all game, really, where especially on the deep ball, We've seen some that almost look like throwaways. That clearly was not just an overthrow. But the deep ball has just not been there for Chambliss in this game. Late sub coming on for Washington State along that defensive line.
Chambliss stands in there. First down ball. It's a touchdown ball. Caden Lee. Five-yard touchdown, and Caden Lee makes a miss.
You see Lee coming all the way from the left side of the formation, underneath the safety, cuts inside, and able to provide an explosive play here in the second half. And Ole Miss able to generate a little bit of breathing room here late.
Now a 10-point cushion. That is an FBS best 25th play of 30-plus yards this year by the Ole Miss Rebels. A big catch by Caden Lee. Rebels up 10. One of the great traditions that Knox Kiffin started a few years ago with the fire extinguisher. Gets me every time. What a wild game this has been. Ole Miss has had to fight their hearts out to make it a 10-point game with 6:51 to go. If you're just joining us, if you watched a nail biter in Como, welcome in. In fact, let's get a studio update on what just happened there from Peter Burns. Had a feeling that one was going to go down to the wire. Good four-quarter battle, and Alabama every week is beating one of the best teams in the country. Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri.
By about 3 points.
And next week they have Tennessee.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier, does it? This conference is crowded.
Eckhouse hands to Kirby Voorhees. Voorhees, that's a first down run into the Ole Miss secondary and past the 40-yard line.
Nice.
I was going to say, Matt, the one thing you wondered about with Ole Miss coming into this game, about being one of the best teams in the country, tackling on defense. Eckhouse, back shoulder ball, and a good one to Jeremiah Noga down into Rebel territory.
Yeah, the tackling, they'll run some rundown stunts where if they catch you just right, which they did on that last one by Voorhees, they're going to pick up an explosive. Now back-to-back plays with the back shoulder completion.
17 and 17 more. And a nice little chunk play to Freeman. Gets him inside the 35-yard line. We asked Lane Kiffin to measure this team against the ones that he's had in his first 5 years. He said, I don't know yet. So we played LSU 2 weeks ago. They're one of the better teams in college football. I need to see what we're going to do against the rest of the schedule. Eckhouse stepped into Uman Mielen's pressure there.
I've seen this a couple of times now off of that right side of the offensive front. If it's not Uman Mielen, it's Cam Franklin. Able to shorten that edge a couple of different times and get to Eckhouse before he can press up into the pocket.
There's a lot of people here at Vaught Hemingway that have stayed in this stadium longer than they expected. The Grove is waiting. Eckhouse hands it to Voorhees. Flags everywhere. Right in front of Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, it'll be a hold, trying to block on Suntarine Perkins. And Ashton Tripp there at left tackle just tackled him on the edge.
defense, number 71. 10-yard penalty, third down.
So instead of accepting the fourth down, Matt, he takes the penalty.
And watch on the edge. You're sitting there, and right there you got to let go. It's easy. So you see that the center judge, line judge, both getting in on the action. Too easy to make that call. And as you mentioned, Taylor, Coach Kiffin says back them up versus forcing that fourth down and maybe perhaps face a fourth down and shorter attempt.
Eckhouse. It's caught. It'll be fourth down as Meredith makes the catch.
Probably picks up about, what, 3 or 4 yards on this upcoming fourth down attempt by taking that holding penalty. So that ended up making good sense, especially getting that catch, make it rally, catch and capture defensively.
Obviously, Jimmy Rogers and Wazoo need 2 scores. It's just a little too long for a field goal attempt, though, so the offense stays on the field. Washington State is 7 of 9 on fourth down. They need 8 yards here. Eckhouse throws incomplete, but here come all the flags. Menasha Morthy was the intended target.
Holding, defense, number 2. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
So it goes on Jalen Braxton, Matt, and now Washington State is in field goal territory, again needing 2 scores.
Huge penalty there. Obviously, we talked about, Ole Miss takes that holding penalty, backed up the Cougs, but picking up that first down and the yardage because of the holding penalty there, the back end on Jalen Braxton.
Eckhouse fires across the middle, and Freeman moves forward. It's a first down inside the 20. Ran into the umpire, too.
Yeah, the umpire just had nowhere to get. And I do wonder if there's not like 3 or 4 more yards. The defenders can't come flying in there too much, right? You end up getting boxed out a little bit.
Michael Moten, the umpire, tackled on the play.
Please reset the game clock to 3 minutes, 49 seconds. Game clock on the 40. Start on my signal.
A little bit out of breath. He popped up smiling, which was good to see. That umpire position, he's right there in the middle of everything, just beyond the linebacker level. It's remarkable they're not engaged even more in some of these plays.
First red zone trip today for Washington State. Eckhouse in trouble. Down he goes as he falls forward to the 19. It's Cam Franklin that was to him first.
We haven't seen a lot of pressures coming. That time, TJ Daugherty able to get in there quickly, make a difference. Obviously, Eckhouse, he's been harassed quite a bit, especially here in the second half. Ole Miss has been able to get home multiple times.
You would want to score some points here, Matt, before the 2-minute timeout. 2 timeouts and that 2-minute stoppage left for Washington State. Eckhouse deflected at the line and almost picked off. It was deflected by Franklin, that star recruit from the Mississippi-Tennessee border.
Franklin coming off that far side, just unaccounted for in the blocking scheme. So that's a free run to the quarterback. Eckhouse able to unload the football, but not before getting it deflected, nearly picked off by one of his defensive linemen.
Zevi Eckhouse throws to the end zone, touchdown! Tony Freeman. First fourth quarter touchdown pass of the season for Washington State. Eckhouse to Freeman for 19 yards.
And Taylor, it looked like there was confusion in the Ole Miss secondary before the snap. Wydett Williams communicating outside. Jalen Braxton, you can see as he turned and looked at his teammate. Once again, we see an open receiver coming up with a touchdown. Second time this afternoon for the Cougars.
Ole Miss was a 33-point favorite in the game, and they lead by 3 with 2:43 to go.
Just an amazing, what a drive that time for Washington State. Eckhouse, 5 of 6, 60 yards, capped off with that touchdown pass. Overcame a holding penalty, a big penalty of their own with the defensive holding by Ole Miss to award them the yardage needed and obviously a first down. And as you mentioned, Taylor, you want to get points before that 2-minute timeout.
Because
now
now
the best kind.
Yeah, now you have 3 stoppages left. The 2 timeouts and the 2-minute timeout.
Think about Washington State using one of those timeouts early. And that's 12 men on the field. Called timeout because they couldn't get their personnel. But as you mentioned, that 2-minute timeout as a bonus stoppage, 43 seconds away.
If you're Washington State, do you have the hands team on the field here and kick an onside kick, or do you kick it deep?
You see it right now. That looks like what they're setting up to do, although not by that angle. There they go, reset.
Harris fakes the onside kick, and a fair catch is called by Wallace. Just a reminder, at 4:15 Eastern, number 12 Tennessee host Arkansas at Neyland Stadium on Rocky Top. And then tonight, it's number 11 LSU hosting South Carolina at 7:45, both available on the ESPN app. Hard to imagine either one of those games will be closer than this one. We thought this one would be the day where Ole Miss would play a couple of quarterbacks, get Austin Simmons back into the game to get some reps. Instead, it's been Trinidad Chambliss the entire way, and you would think that man you just saw on your screen a moment ago, Kewan Lacey, is about to handle the football here for the Rebel offense. Instead, they fake to him, throw to right out of the backfield. He's free. Down inside the Washington State 40.
Daquan Wright, 6'4", 255 pounds, out of Perry, Georgia. Just taking Cougs for a ride. Leaked out of the backfield. And as you mentioned, the whole defense is thinking, all right, here comes a downhill run. And the officials conferring about something at the end of that play.
Unsportsmanlike contact with the official with the sideline. That's 15-yard penalty, first down.
How about that? And you saw it down the sideline here, Matt, as the play was going on, as the Ole Miss bench got involved in the action. It would be a 42-yard play.
Yeah, looks like an assistant. Watch this. Ends up running in. You can't. That white belongs to the official. He knows it as soon as it happens.
Charge timeout. Washington State. 30 seconds.
The fans don't like it. The fans are wrong. You can't be in that white right there. You got to give the official room, especially on a big play.
Instead of a 42-yard play, it's a 27-yard play.
Still a big play, yeah.
Ole Miss still has the ball on Washington State side of the field.
That is their second charge timeout.
It's reminiscent. You'll see that a lot. A lot of times you'll get a sideline warning, etc. But this time there's actual contact. I mean, it wasn't like a glancing blow. That ref could have easily gone down. So instead, as you mentioned, knock off that 15 yards, still a 27-yarder to right. Big play to open up this possession.
Jimmy Rogers, first-year head coach at Washington State, won a national championship with South Dakota State as their head coach after playing for them. From the FCS to the FBS and fighting in the SEC today. There's Lacey. And Lacey gets inside the 45 down to the 42. Durant's on the tackle.
Washington State, 30 seconds.
Lacey has a career high in yardage today, just went over 140 yards. 143 to be exact.
He's been impressive, really all afternoon long. Fun to watch him carry the football because he does run physically. Not a big thumper, but there's been a lot of yards after contact. Think about more than just the big scrum that we saw earlier where the whole team is in there pushing, but he's been keeping his legs moving all afternoon.
They gave him 6, not 5 yards, so it's 144 for Lacey. The third string tailback at Mizzou as a freshman, and the every down starter for Ole Miss as a sophomore.
We talked to the coaches. What was it that you liked so much about him that you saw from him in limited action from Mizzou last year? And they're like, no, we recruited this kid out of high school. We liked him a lot from the get-go.
Washington State is out of timeouts. Can just about put the game away here with another first down run. Lacey stopped though. Tucker Large with the tackle. That should take us down to the 2-minute timeout.
Big stick by Tucker Large coming down from his safety spot. And you're right, we'll get this 2-minute timeout.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
The game is on the line when we come back.
The College Football Playoff begins December 19th and concludes with the National Championship January 19th on ESPN.
Fired up to see who's going to be in the playoffs later this season, but right now everybody's trained on the field at Vaught-Hemingway. Trinidad, Chambliss, Kewan, Lacey, and Ole Miss have a 3rd and 4. A first down puts the game away. And it's Lacey, and he's stopped. Tackle for loss by Isaac Terrell, who has been terrific.
I'm not sure that wasn't a pull read by Chambliss. So watch, you got those 2 lead blockers running opposite. If you pull it, you got a safety running down too. It just ends up being well played by the Cougs.
It's 4th and 6, and Ole Miss's offense is still on the field here. They could take the clock down to almost 1:15. And it appears that's what they'll do.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 1 minute, 14 seconds.
Washington State stands to get the football back. Down 3.
So we're sitting here, we're up here speculating. What do you do if you run the football right here? I'm not certain that if they don't get positive yards, you get it down to 4th and 1, 4th and 2, a long 2 even. Maybe Ole Miss considers it. Negative yardage play. There's no way you go for it right there, seed that field position with this kind of time on the clock, even with no timeouts for Washington State.
Oscar Bird, the Australian punter, trying to pin Wazoo deep. He kicks it out of bounds, and we'll see where the judge marks this. He's at the 10, which means Washington State needs about 55, 60 yards to give Jack Stevens a reasonable chance to tie the game.
Please reset the game clock to 1 minute, 9 seconds. 1:09.
Sevi Eckhouse comes back onto the field. He's thrown for 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Run for 28 more as Lane Kiffin is sweating this one out.
Well, this is what you got to respect. Eckhouse's legs right here. So you play coverage. If you get your back to that line of scrimmage, you have to know that that scramble game can still hurt you. The challenge is the clock if you're Washington State.
Eckhouse will hand it to Voorhees. Voorhees stays upright to the 15. And remember, Washington State is out of timeouts, under a minute left.
Curious decision to start this thing out. They're going to lose a ton of time just off of that.
Almost 20 seconds. Eckhouse throws, that's deflected at the line. It'll be third down after Eccles got his hand on it. 47 seconds left.
Well, Eccles has had himself a second half. Getting his hands up in the passing lane, getting some negative yardage plays from that interior defensive front position.
Eckhouse faces pressure and he's sacked. Will Eccles, what a game.
Wow. It just won right now. When you talk about you start off running, there's no way to stop that clock off a sack. You can't take one there. Eccles just won right now. Couldn't get the ball out.
Fourth down. Eckhouse throws. That's caught. That's a first down. Tony Freeman.
Stop the clock to reset those chains. 17 ticks.
Under 10 seconds to go in the game. Eckhouse launches downfield. Incomplete. Flags on the field with 1 second left. Kapena Gushikin, the former Washington State Cougar, looked like he got there early on Leon Neal.
Pass interference, defense, number 14. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down. Please reset the game clock to 3 seconds.
So this ball just hangs up so long, and Gushikin, he's got eyes on the ball, turn around and play it, never does. Flags come out from the back judge, side judge.
Spot foul at the next level, you might kick a field goal after that, but instead just a 15-yard penalty. So Washington State gets to run one play from its own 37-yard line.
You see Ole Miss, just 3 defenders within 20 yards of the line of scrimmage. We'll talk about it.
First charge timeout, Ole Miss, 30 seconds.
Can I just say, no matter what happens next, Washington State's players, coaches, fans have to be overwhelmingly proud of their performance here in Oxford, Mississippi.
Should be thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. Number 4 team in the country, coming off a bye week, no less. This is a fresh Ole Miss team. And it wasn't, there wasn't a bunch of like weird doink plays or fluky plays in this game. Washington State, especially defensively, repeatedly finding ways to turn Ole Miss away from their own 4-yard line, from their own 5-yard line. And now still with a chance to hang one up there.
They need a wazoo miracle in Oxford, Mississippi. Eckhouse will throw short. It'll be lateraled around. That's Freeman with the ball right now. And now he'll throw it back. And out of bounds inside the 40 goes Pula Lossi, and Ole Miss survives.
Game is over.
Washington State was a 33-point underdog, and they give Ole Miss a 3-point scare in Oxford today.
You said it earlier, Tanner. You got to be thrilled. You're Jimmy Rogers. Got to be thrilled with the way your team competed in this ball game. It wasn't like they were just hanging on. They had their opportunities. Ole Miss, who did not play well, found a way to win in this ball game.
Lane Kiffin's the fastest to 50 wins in school history, and he's with Alyssa.
Defense before they went out there for that last play.
Don't get a penalty. You keep the ball in front of us, but hats out to Washington State. Those guys played really hard today, gave us a really good game. We didn't make plays at the end when we were up 2 scores to close it out, but found a way to win. So I guess maybe survive and advance mentality.
What did you make of some of the consistency your offense was able to generate in the second half?
Well, it's very erratic. You know, we were good. Then we get a penalty on a coach on the sideline. We have them stopped on a third down, get a late hit on the quarterback. So just really not a really clean day, but, you know, we got through a trap game, and we got to go start playing a lot better.
What will be the focus when you watch the tape ahead of Georgia now next Saturday?
Well, making plays. I thought that we didn't really do that. You know, Trinidad started slow and made some plays late, but we're going to play obviously a lot better opponents coming up, and we're going to have to play a lot better than that.
Finally, Coach, fastest in school history to 50 wins officially after this one today. What does that mean to you?
I don't know. I feel like we barely won today, so I ain't worried about that.
Thanks, Coach.
Let's take a look now at today's Capital One rewarding performance. Key one, Lacey of the Rebels, Matt, they needed all 142 yards from him.
No question. I mean, this was the mainstay. This was something that they could go to all afternoon long, was they could count on number 5 to pick up big yardage for him. Really generated the first explosive play of the entire day for what has been an explosive offense there in the third quarter. I mean, to start that second quarter drive, and they needed him, no question, on the ground, because the rest of that offense has kind of sputtered all afternoon.
Washington State will go to the Square, and Ole Miss fans, drinks are on you. Washington State will then go to Virginia next week. They're 3-3 on the season. Ole Miss is 6-0. They play at number 10 Georgia next Saturday afternoon in Athens. What a game that was, my friend.
This was much more of a battle, I think, than anybody anticipated that wasn't wearing the old crimson of Washington State.
Just an incredible game today. Thank you to our entire team, Aaron, Corey, and everyone else. Ole Miss survives and wins by 3 for Alyssa Lang, Matt Stinchcomb. I'm Taylor Zarzer. Up next, it's SEC Now, followed by Arkansas and Tennessee. Goodbye from Oxford.